So this month's a little bit exciting. I am celebrating 2 years living in this caravan. Seriously, where has the time gone? So in this video, I'm going to give an overview of everything that's happened in the last year. And if you're curious what happened in the first year of caravanning, I'll include a link in the corner. And then at the end, I'm also going to talk about a couple of exciting projects that I'm planning to do. And UK viewers, you might want to hang around to the end. So 1 year ago, I was actually at this same campground. Funnily enough, I was staying at Hawke's Bay all summer for a graphic design job. And it was absolutely perfect. It was just part-time, so it meant that I had enough money to live on and also have the time to make these videos and kind of progress with Travelling K. And while I was based here, I was able to do a few trips away to Waikato, up to Gisborne area, and then down through Masterton to the bottom of the North Island. On 2 of those trips, I got flat tires, one on each side. So the first flat tire was luckily, I think I just drove over a branch at a campground, so it happened at a campground. And it took me about 3 days to change that tire because I can't get the spare wheel off. But it was kind of the ideal location because I was at a campground, I could extend my stay, and it was okay. It was okay. The second flat tire was just after Woodville, south of Hawke's Bay area. And unfortunately, I ended up on the side of the road. It did a lot of damage to the caravan, which I'm actually just finding out how much damage it did. And I had to call roadside assistance to help me access the spare wheel that was still fitted underneath the caravan because I hadn't actually dealt with that issue. And the issues from that flat tire kind of carried on because the spat covering the wheel on the outside was damaged, completely destroyed, and it took me a while to figure out what I could do because it was quite expensive to import the part from the UK. I ended up finding a fiberglass company in Hawke's Bay who happened to have a mold that was very similar to mine, and I was able to get that fixed. There was also a couple of holes knocked underneath the caravan, which I fixed myself, but I recently had the caravan just looked over and checked, and when it was lifted up in the air, we could see that there was a lot of wood damaged on the side of the caravan too. So luckily that's just been replaced, and I've got a video going into more details being shared soon. Basically in the last year I feel like a lot of things have broken on the caravan and I've learned how to fix it. I've even got a video sharing all the things that have broken in my caravan since I've bought it. And then I had some fridge issues. I've kind of talked about this fridge quite a lot in some of my other videos. So summer in Hawke's Bay got quite hot and I started having errors that seemed to be about gas. And so I had a gas specialist come out and he tweaked a few things, but there were still problems with it. And eventually I figured out that it must be from the heat. Like, this fridge is set up to UK temperatures, but not New Zealand temperatures. And we get a little bit hotter than in England. So after summer finished, some of the errors kind of stopped. So that was kind of my main theory, that it had to do with the temperature. But also another error was appearing last summer, and that was to do with the power. So I ended up taking my battery to get checked and found out that it wasn't actually holding its charge. So I've got a really nice solar panel system, but it was a little bit silly to have a small battery that wasn't holding its charge, and basically it just kind of died. So my first battery was only small, it was only 95 amp hours, and now I've got these 2 massive batteries. So I got it imported down from Auckland and had help getting them installed. They were very heavy, and that really helped the power issue with the fridge. It no longer had that issue, it just had the heat issue. So once summer passed, the fridge has been pretty good. until a month ago, and then it just randomly had the error 12 issue again that had to do with power. I'm now wondering if it's the CPU panel, because apparently these Thetford fridges in that age had an error with their CPU panels. So it just played up for 3 days and it's been fine since, so I'm hopeful. Actually, I'm just kind of keeping it going. I don't really want to spend the money for a new fridge because they're quite expensive. So I'll just kind of hope that this one carries on. And then the batteries, when I got these installed, I thought I'd have so much power, you know, it would be unbelievable, but I was still having the same drops as my previous one. So it didn't feel like it was right. And I eventually, when I went up to Auckland with the Caravan, I popped in and had it all checked and found out that the computer controller hadn't been changed. I didn't even know you had to do this change, but it was still thinking it was running on the 95 amp hour batteries. So once that was updated to 390 amp hours, it was fine. It's been unbelievable. I've actually stopped looking at the computer controller because I've got so much power now. It's a little bit crazy. I don't think I've dropped below 90%. And someone pointed out that I could, in theory, link my fridge to my batteries and run it on the battery setting, just because I've got so much power now. But having a look recently, it looked complicated. So that's something, if you know how to link a Thetford fridge in a UK Caravan to the batteries, let me know. And the very first winter I had this Caravan, I did struggle with my power when I wasn't plugged in. So I got a VSR system. When the car battery gets to a certain level and the car can't keep anymore, it sends the power back to the batteries in the Caravan. Unfortunately, I kind of got this set up and tried it a few times and my car wouldn't start. And it made me nervous, so I unplugged it. And when I took my car and Caravan in to get its warrant of fitness, I asked the mechanic to kind of check the VSR system, and he found out that there was an error with it and it was drawing power straight away. It wasn't waiting till the car was at a certain level, it was just continuously drawing power. So to be honest, I've kind of just disconnected it. But in June my contract job went a little quiet, so I moved to Auckland and freelanced in companies there for a couple of months, and house sat as well, which is kind of nice in the middle of winter to kind of get out of the Caravan. And then I did a quick trip north and stayed at some really lovely dock campgrounds. I'm keen to stay at campgrounds similar to this in the future. And then I went to Melbourne for VidCon, which is a YouTube expo, and just find it really inspiring just to kind of motivate me to keep going. And when I got back from Melbourne, I found out that someone had tried to break into my car and there was a bit of metal shoved into the lock. So that actually took a little while to fix, but it's eventually done. And I stayed around Auckland for a little bit, filming, networking, meeting people. And when I left Auckland, I went to Jason's. He fixes caravans. This is kind of where I'm getting in the future, because I've got a lot of footage that I'm still trying to edit. But I wanted to do this video in October because October is the official month, which is 2 years. While there, he checked over my Caravan and saw a few things to fix. So the future, I think next week's video is going to be all the things he finds wrong with my Caravan. And then I went to the Hamilton Caravan and Motorhome show and actually met quite a few viewers, which was amazing. It was so fun. And so I'm planning to go to the Covey Super Show in Auckland in March and hopefully meet a few of you there too. And since then I've jumped around a bit. I've ended up in Hawke's Bay. And now to talk about future projects. So I am slowly making my way to the South Island and I'm going to be there for about 3 months. because it costs quite a bit. It's costing me about $270 one way to take the car and the caravan across on the ferry. So it's not something you want to kind of do a quick trip for. So I'm going to do 3 months. And even then I've kind of worked out my route, a rough route, and I'm still going to be rushing things. I'm going to have to skip some things. So it's a little bit crazy, isn't it? So if you know of a place I really should stay at in the South Island, let me know in the comments below. And then the big surprise, I am seriously considering visiting the UK in July, August 2019. That's the surprise. So again, it all depends on funds, how I go. I've been able to get a few online clients, graphic design clients, and it's actually at a really nice level at the moment, but I think I might lose one client because they've just hired a full-time graphic designer. So I'm guessing that job will go a little quiet. So we'll see. And if you want to help get me to the UK, it would be amazing if you could become a Patreon. And you get some perks with Patreon. I've started sharing these videos a day or two earlier on Patreon before they're made public. I also kind of share the business side of Traveling K. So maybe the statistics and what I'm achieving. And then I'm making a real effort to meet my patrons as well as I travel around, because it would be amazing to head over and meet some of you. So an overview of my last year basically is a lot of things broke and I stayed in an apple orchard for about half of it. So what is the next year going to bring? And thank you Alan, Manuel, Pauline, Luther, David, Laurie, William, Braze Caravans, Kevin, and all my other Patreons. Thank you guys.